Hi, this is Joy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have another masculine mashup card for Sweet and Sassy Stamps. I am using distress oxides for my stamping as well as stenciling to create a fun background using complementary colors. And what that means is that they are opposite on the color wheel and typically would make mud. But because distress oxides have a pigment ink in them, they lay on top of each other, allowing me to mix a red and a green together. So let's get into the card. I first started out by using barn door ink, and I just swiped that across a smooth cardstock panel measuring 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I came in with my shiplap background stamp, and I inked that with Vintage Photo Distress Oxide. That might seem redundant to you that I made a faux wood background and then I'm stamping with a wood grain stamp. But by using the red, I caused colors to pop through. I added texture, I added depth and dimension to my panel, and I think it was completely worth it. Now, I did use an ink swishing tool and my Misty for this background so that I could only have to ink it one time and get one really good impression. And I love the way this turned out. It kind of reminds me of like the side of a barn door peeling, like it's hundreds of years old. So I like the way that came out. While I had my Misty out, I stamped the dog image from the masculine mashup stamp set with Memento Tuxedo black ink, as well as the sentiment, Happy Father's Day. I used the Memento ink because it is compatible with Copics and with Distress Oxide inks. What that means is when you blend either of those two mediums on it, it will not smear. And that is important to me and for this project. So I laid that aside and I brought back the background, and I am using the mixed up stencil set, and I am blending crushed olive distress oxide on top of it, or through it I should say, creating some interest in my background. Typically, like I said, the red and the green would make mud, but you'll see that it doesn't. I am being very careful of where I am applying my ink, because if you notice the second line says enjoy. I didn't want that to compete with my sentiment, and also since my name is Joy, I didn't want my name on the card meaning part of the word enjoy. So that's why I did some creative placement with my ink blending, and I love the way that this comes out ultimately. And again, these colors should create mud, but being a pigment ink, they lay on top of each other. Then I do come in with Vintage Photo, and using my blending tool, I kind of create a vignette around the edges of the card, just slightly coming in to draw the eye into the card. I would normally do this after trimming down my panel, but I am using this panel as a full-size A2 panel, meaning 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now I am coming in with my Copics to color the dog image. So I am imagining that this dog is a little bit roly-poly, and so where his paws and his legs and his belly are kind of overlapping the next thing, they're going to cause a big cast shadow. So what that means is on the right side of those lines, I came in heavy with my W7 Copic marker, creating that shadow. Then I came in with my W5 and I blended that out. I used my W3 as my mid-tone color, meaning the majority of my dog is a W3. And I also, the outer perimeter of his face, I did in the W3. And then I blended it with a W1 so his face would be a little bit brighter. And again, if you lose your cast shadow, you can always come back in with your darkest color, meaning the W7, if you need to put those back in, which I think I definitely did. I also forgot to color the underbelly of him, so I added that in at the last minute as well. Then I decided to match the crushed olive with my Copics on his hat, so I am using YG63, YG67, and YG03. So I washed over the entire thing with a 6.3, and then where the crumples of the hat would be, or where the I guess the visor kind of rolls up on itself, I put in a cast shadow with the 6.7, and then I applied a whole wash of YG03 over it to brighten. However, I did lose my cast shadow, so I went in with a W5 just to darken that shadow. And then for his collar, I used an R24, 46, and 29. And then I left his tag white because I'm going to add a gold gem at the end to be his collar, or his tag, excuse me. I then die cut the sentiment with a banner die from Fun Stamper's Journey that's discontinued at this time, and also Hero Arts Infinity Circles to create the matting for the dog image. I popped that dog image up on foam squares onto the red mat, just so that it would pop from the background. And I think it turned out great. As you know, if you've followed me for any amount of time, I love dimension on my cards, so I will always pop all the things up if I can. With that said, I did not pop up the focal panel because it is the full size of the A2 card base. And then this is where the Memento ink comes into play. Using what was left over on my blending brush, I added crushed olive to that banner, and you'll notice that that ink did not smear. That is why I love Memento ink. It is just the tried and true ink that you can always count on to do exactly what it says it's going to do. I then popped up that banner, and then I decide to wrap some jute twine around my circle die. This is painful to watch, I'm not even joking, because there is no definitive edge or corner to wrap it around, so the twine wants to slide. So I started out by using painter's tape just to anchor it, and it kept sliding. Finally, I didn't show this, but off camera, I finally took my glue gun and I just added small amounts of glue to anchor my twine. Like I said, I didn't show it, but I am showing you that I'm struggling with the twine, because I want everybody to know that we all struggle at times, and that just because a video is edited does not mean that there's not a whole lot of things that go wrong or things that take longer than normal. So I wanted you to be aware of that we all make mistakes, and it's absolutely fine to do so. I just never stop and start over. I just keep going and find an alternative way. I then add the foam squares to the red die cut and pop that up onto my panel. So if you have stuck with me this far, I want to say thank you. I would ask that you would consider liking, subscribing, commenting, and even consider hitting the notification bell so that you're notified when I put up another video. So that's where I went in and put the gold bobble in where the tag is, and then I added a few more in a triangular shape. I did use the one that's in the collar as one of the points of my triangle, so I only put 2 more on the side. And then I came in with stickles, black stickles, and just put some dots on the hat, and I highlighted the worm on the hook. So Feel free to check out the Sweet and Sassy Facebook page, Instagram, their website to see all the things that the designers are making. And until next time, keep crafting. Have a good day, my